And when I would say that, like, hey, well, what about inclusion on the other side? People would get upset.
If we're going to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, we need to live it. Can't just talk about it. And I think you have to be intentional on what you're looking for when you're hiring coaches.
Right.
I try to stay warm over here.
You walked over just in here?
I just arrested
Coach Prime,
Tony Price, director of the recreation program. Nice to meet you. One of these days we'll get you over to the rec center.
His son's over there all the time.
Yeah.
We'll run from 11 to noon, and this session is titled Legacy, an inside look at creating and sustaining past and future legacies. This will be a fireside chat hosted by two very important members of our athletics department. The first guest today is our athletic director, Rick George. I had some trouble finding a bio on Coach Prime, as he's more of a difficult person to find on Google. But Coach Prime is a Florida native. He attended Florida State, where he won the Jim Thorpe Award his senior year. He's a two-time All-American and went on to get drafted 5th overall by the Atlanta Falcons. Some of his accolades in the NFL: two-time Super Bowl champion, 1994 NFL Defensive Player of the Year, 6-time first-team All-Pro, 8-time Pro Bowler, 1990s All-Decade Team, and he was a part of the NFL 100th Anniversary All-Time Team. This is good enough to get him inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2011. Coach Prime is also the only athlete to play in a Super Bowl and a World Series. Coach played 9 seasons in the MLB with the Yankees, Braves, Reds, and Giants. He batted .263 in his career with 39 home runs and 186 stolen bases. Coach Prime comes to Colorado from Jackson State, where he was the head coach for 3 seasons, the most successful seasons in Jackson State history. He led Jackson State back-to-back SWAC championships and was a 2-time SWAC Coach of the Year. He also won the Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year award in 2021. However, it is truly the individual of Coach Prime that is the most impressive part of him. He's somebody who truly cares for individuals and elevates the standard around him to make everyone better. Coach Prime has already made our athletics department better, and I'm incredibly excited to see what he will accomplish here in his time at CU. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to Coach Prime. Rick.
Coach, what is legacy? How do you define it?
You know, I thought about this yesterday when they put this on my desk, and I Googled it at first to try to find out what legacy really, what Webster would say to legacy. But then I started thinking about the values, memories, friendship, love, and respect thereof. And when I think about legacy, I think about something that is intended upon you leaving someone that you value. Legacy to me is a blessing, a tremendous gift that someone would dare to ask, but you would want to give. To me, that's legacy. Never smoking or drinking in my life, I think that's legacy. Not using profanity since the age of 18, I think that's legacy. Retiring my mother ever since 1988, I believe that's legacy. Having the audacity to try to provoke change in every field that I go into or I enter any room I walk into, I think that's legacy. So I could ramble on and on about legacy, and I have so many different thoughts about legacy, but we all may have different thoughts about legacy depending upon where we come from and the field that we're in. What's legacy to you?
I mean, it's very similar. You know, when I go into a situation, and I love going into bad situations and make them better, I always focus on trying to make the place and leave the place that I'm at in a better situation than when I got there.
True.
And that's just, you know, it's part of, you know, the culture that you create, the plan that you lay out for your staff and the achievements that you make along the way. All of those things, in my opinion, are important to leaving a legacy. And, you know, you talk about, you know, the things that you've done in your career and the legacy that you've left. And, you know, I mean, you could go on, you know, with the accomplishments that you've had. The accomplishments create your legacy. And it's the values and beliefs that you have that you pass on to others that help them on their path to getting where they need to go.
But is legacy how you feel about me or how I feel about what I left? I'm just making you ponder thoughts.
You asking me or them?
I'm asking everyone.
Yeah.
Like, what is it really? Because I've really never cared about what you thought about me. I cared more so than what I thought about me when I looked in that mirror right before I went to sleep.
Well, I mean, that's incredibly important, right?
True.
Because, you know, if the legacy you want to leave is whatever that is, to be able to look back and say, I made that place better.
Mm-hmm.
I helped elevate people in their careers and made that situation for them better. I mean, that's part of legacy, and that's important to me, but it may not be important to some people around.
Truly so. I like that.
If we're going to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, we need to live it. Can't just talk about it. And I think you have to be intentional on what you're looking for when you're hiring coaches.
Okay.
And having a person of color that our student athletes don't have that many in this community and on this campus that they can look to, I think that's really important. I think there's a flaw in our system in college athletics where enough African Americans don't get the opportunity to become a head coach. I mean, we're looking right now, Eric Bieniemy is more than qualified to be a head
More than
coach
qualified.
in the NFL, but the last two hires that we had, he was passed over. And
He was just passed over by two men that he defeated
right,
in the Super Bowl.
right.
Wow.
No, I mean, look, I mean, that's part of it, but in college athletics, we have to be intentional in a lot of ways. And so I think it's important, as I look at hiring a head football coach, I'm looking at a sitting Power 5 offensive or defensive coordinator. And we don't have enough offensive and defensive coordinators that are black. And that has to start with the head coach and has to start with the AD saying, you know, we need to change the course of this. Because when I go look, I look at sitting Power 5 head coaches, sitting Group of 5, HBCU coaches, and then coordinators in Power 5. And if there's not a pool, you've got to create a diverse pool of candidates, and then you've got to go through the process.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned HBCU because I just derived from one. And I had the same thought process. Now, when you're at a PWI and you know what those initials mean, and then you're at a HBCU and you're well aware of what those initials mean, and we choose a staff, why aren't the HBCU up under the same pressure and scrutiny as the Power 5? Let me explain, because I know I lost you.
I mean, that's important.
Let me explain, because I lost you.
Okay,
Okay?
let's go.
So it seems to me that everything is justifiable, everything is scrutinized, everything should be understood as inclusion and equality. So I made it an effort that my head trainer was a Caucasian woman at HBCU. I made it an effort that my head equipment person was an African American woman at HBCU. My offensive coordinator was a Caucasian man at HBCU. My defensive line coach, I had half the staff Caucasian and half the staff black. So when you watched us, you saw equality on television. You didn't just see HBCU. See, now, no one can make the argument is when you watch a Power 5, you just see a Caucasian staff and you don't see no inclusion.
Right.
But when we have the opportunity to do the same, which shouldn't we return the favor? Shouldn't we be scrutinized just as much? Or is it not right? Ain't heard nobody clapping here today, no amen. But you understand where I'm going.
My experiences in diversity and inclusion and ESG from a finance perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And when I would say that, like, hey, well, what about inclusion on the other side? People would get upset. We even had a small issue here in the fall. And so I do think we should talk about that, but I also think a lot of times the intention's not the same, so therefore the output's not the same.
True.
And so what a lot of people feel like, or at least what I was hearing in our class, was, Mia, but we've been behind for so long, why do we have to include them? Because they already have an advantage and we're at a disadvantage and it's not leveled.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you say to people who have that argument?
Well, first and foremost, it wasn't just the ethnicities, it was the genders as well. Because I think women should get opportunities as men should get opportunities as well. That's why I did such. I even brought a couple women in the spring to participate in coaching that I randomly found on the internet that wanted to get into coaching because I thought it was right. So I understand what you're saying. I'm a heart guy. I'm moved by the heart. And I'm not really led by what he say or she say. I'm really moved by my heart. I don't go off he say or she say because that will get you in trouble oftentimes. So I'm led by the heart, and I just want to see people smile. And I just want to give you an opportunity that you may have never gotten before. And that's why I think we were extremely successful, not just because of that, because when people watched us on television at an HBCU, I think we even led all HBCUs and Caucasian kids on the team, on the roster. And I don't know if you remember, but the last game, a Caucasian tight end dropped the ball and they jumped on him because he was white. I said, I don't give a darn if he was black, white, black, Hispanic, or Asian. He dropped the darn ball. That's the problem. Not his ethnicity. So it is still ignorance and adolescence that we find in our country, and we're going to always run up into that. But sooner or later, we got to stand up to it and take it head on.
Black people that aspire to be in a position such as yours.
Opportunity. I want to leave opportunity that when it's all said and done, and it's going to be a minute before it's said and done because we've got a lot of winning to do, that people would say, you know what if we just gave someone an opportunity? What if we just stepped out on faith? What if we just believed? What if we just said, we'll forget status quo. Let's just go with the most qualified person. What if we did that? Winning opened those doors, provoking change opened those doors. Kids with the graduation rate staying statistically where it is now, and it's tremendous here. Those type of things, kids not impregnating women open those doors. Kids being young men, those are the doors that are open. It's not just winning, it's winning on the field, off the field, in the classroom, in the community, on an everyday realm. Those are the type of things that open those type of doors. Not just winning a game, it's just winning the game of life. Those are the doors that are open when you do that. That was one of the things that we fight for at HBCUs. That's the thing, it's going to be an ongoing fight at HBCUs, and you're trying to get equality with giving, where the HBCUs are oftentimes overlooked and underfunded. So it's always a challenge in that aspect. I don't think the challenge was just to women, it was to the kids, it was to everything. One appreciation that I have, and I'm thankful that God took me through the process, because we're so appreciative. You should have seen the night, even though we lost, and we came here that night after, time we hit the building, the coaches lit up like Christmas trees because that was their first time. I had already previously come. And the things that we took for granted are here, and it's a consistency, and it's unbelievable. So our appreciation is, we're overwhelmed with enthusiasm about our appreciation, and we get upset with some of the kids because these facilities are second to none. And we're thinking they should appreciate that. But when you've come from wealth, or you come from this, and you've never been down, you don't love it like you should. It's like a relationship, And we're thankful. We're so thankful every day, don't we, Coach? We walk in here and we say, Lord, thank you. Like, this is unbelievable. When I look out that window, when I look out these windows, we're so appreciative. And those things that could be taken for granted. I don't feel like the whole country has recognized and has understood. I mean, I'm 55 and I had no idea. I think as far as I've been, I played in Denver a couple of times, baseball as well as football, but never when I went to Vail, I almost lost my darn mind. Yeah, it was undarn believable. I can't wait to get back. I can't wait to get back. I really can't. I mean, that was game changing for me, because I never fathomed, what you call it with the snowmobile. Yeah, I always forget the name of it. Snowmobile. I can't ski because I'm 8 toes down, so I can't ski. I'm not saying I don't feel secure. I'm admitting I don't feel secure as a man to ski with 8 toes. But the snowmobile, it was great. But just the hospitality and the spirit of everyone in this city since we arrived has been tremendous. That's not just to me, but to our kids on the team, because I asked them how were they treated when they went out about. Then I asked them how did they act, because that has a lot to do with how you're treated or how do you act. Was your pants off your butt, or were you dressed professionally? Did you look the part? Did you speak the part? Did you articulate yourself the part? I mean, all of that. And that goes a long way. But the city has been tremendous. And when we start rolling, when we start winning, it's going to be even better.
Are you looking for student athletes? You challenged the football staff and personnel staff to identify certain type of student athletes you want here. Can you share those 5 things?
Smart, tough, fast, disciplined, with character. I'm going to say that again. Smart, tough. That's not just physically, but that's mentally, socially tough. Smart, tough, fast. That's just not foot speed. That's retaining things fast, learning things fast, executing things fast, doing your homework fast, all those type of things. Saying no real fast when you put in the wrong position, and discipline. Okay, with character. And discipline is discipline. We know that, with character. And those are the attributes that we want for our kids and our athletes, and they don't hit 4 out of those 5 criteria, they will not be a Buff. And we must, as coaches, as the staff, we must, are you okay today?
I'm throwing stuff all over the place. I'm a little unstable here. I was at the Avalanche game. And
Discipline, okay?
Yeah, discipline.
Yeah, with character.
Yeah, with character.
But those mean a lot to us, and we don't play by those attributes.
Staff here to ask some questions. Good.
You guys, perfect. You guys have both expressed that intentionality with your actions is what creates legacy. So I am curious, and I would hope others are, what values and experiences will you utilize to set up not only CU, but other college athletics as a whole, to create opportunity for programs and student athletes to succeed, especially in DE&I efforts?
Well, look, I mean, and most of our staff know this, but our core values are really important to who we are. And, he talks about the values that he's looking for in student athletes that he's recruiting. And same way for us. I mean, we're trying to create a legacy here by adopting core values that we think are important to us. And it's about respect, about accountability, it's about passion, it's about integrity, it's about dedication, and we gotta, at least in my opinion, we've gotta lead the way. And me being the leader of this department, it starts with me, and it's making sure that we share those values and we help educate those around us about the values that are important to what we do as we move forward as a department. And we've got a lot of work to do, and college athletics is different today, and it's not an 8 to 5 job. It's a 7 to midnight job, and sometimes 7 days a week, for the amount of games and contests that we have. And we've got student athletes here that rely, but as leaders, we have to set the tone for the areas that we work and live in to make this a better place.
That's right. I agree. I had no concerns taking this position. The only thing that I was apprehensive, I'm a Florida boy that resides in Texas. So the weather, and Rick did a great job with sending me the forecast, sending me pictures of snow on the field like this. Then later on that evening, the field was clear, the snow was gone. I don't know if he got me, I don't know how he did that. I don't know if it was the same day that I should have said, take it by clock. I should have said, take it by clock, all right? Let me see, but he got me. But no, that was the only thing. And we were going to Mississippi, actually, to play. We stopped through Louisiana to New Orleans, I'm sorry, and he gave us the whole facility. He said, you practice, we're gonna film it for you, we're gonna feed your kids, we're gonna do everything, we're gonna take them on tours, we're gonna give them gear, and he did everything. He laid it out for my kids, and they had an experience that they would have never had. So Sean, Coach Payton and I, we've been tight for a long time, and he's gonna do some wonderful things with the Broncos. That was a great hire.
Yes, it was.
Unless you change the people. I'm gonna say that again. You can't change the culture unless you change the people. Oftentimes people are resistant to change because they develop a certain comfort level that they love. I don't care if it's a bad thing, it's good, it's there comfortable, they love it, okay? I don't care if the cat uses the bathroom right there on the floor every day, that's my cat, leave my cat alone, I can handle that. That's how people are built. Instead of saying, why don't we just put the litter box outside the door? You know, they don't think about the change. The change could possibly change things. And we're products of change and evolution. Change is inevitable. And oftentimes when change comes in, people, they don't like it. And they don't like the way it looks, the way it smells, the way it talks, the way it walks. But change is inevitable. Okay, first of all, football teammates and baseball teammates are totally different. These are totally different human beings, totally different. The mental capacity, the makeup, the way they attack the game, the way they live life, it's totally different. On the football side, I'm gonna go with probably Jamie Dukes. Jamie Dukes was a senior when I was at Florida State, offensive lineman. I went to Atlanta and Jamie was the starting center and we were together for years. And I went to the NFL Network and I said, I got a guy that's better than any one you guys have. You know, the hidden diamond. They said, all right, let's see. They put him on a remote. He ate it up. He worked for the NFL Network for, I think, 8 years. He was my teammate. And we did a podcast together with Barstools as well. He's my teammate for 3 years there. So probably one of the most consistent, loyal, dependable men that I knew, football-wise, and just as a friend. Baseball-wise, that's tough. That's really tough to say who was that guy, because I bounced around teams, as you know, and I was there longer, it seemed like, with football players than with baseball players. But I had some wonderful teammates. The best baseball player I ever played with was Barry Bonds. The best, by far, not even close. Not even close. I mean, that man is unbelievable of a baseball player, and what they're doing with him and not allowing him into the Hall of Fame is ignorant to me. He had 3 MVPs on the mantle before any accusation ever was laid. The guy's unbelievable. Great question.
Really good.
On the NFL sideline, I was actually playing. College, I'm coaching. There's a distinct difference. Next question.
Influencing CU on the field and beyond.
All those things you said would not just create a better situation for black and brown students, but for every student. I'm not just coaching black and brown kids. I'm coaching every kid that's in that locker room. I'm not just speaking to black and brown people. I'm speaking to everyone in this room and everyone listening via social media and everything. So, and as you know, with my son and everyone who does my social, my range is from during 16 to 80. So I'm all over the board. I'm hitting everything that moves. 16 years old, you know, aspiring recruits.
I just got on Instagram this morning for the first time.
You good?
Oh yeah.
I'll follow you.
You're one of my 14 followers. We have 127,000 today. You know, we had followers on our Buff Club side, our CU Buff side. I hope I get this right. 59,000, and we're up to 187,000 today. And so we know, and we talk about this a lot, that the eyeballs that are on our program is not just those followers.
Mm-hmm.
We've got coaches at other schools saying, how are they doing this?
That's right.
How are they recruiting at the level they recruit? Everything that we do at CU in football is going to be scrutinized, and we know that. And that's probably the biggest thing that I've seen since we've been here. Everybody wants to know how and why. And here's what I would tell you. I sat in a room with him when we had a junior weekend. And he asked if I'd come up there. We had a luncheon here, and it was really great. And we had 5 stars and 4 stars. And he asked if I'd sit in some one-on-one visits. And I sat in on these one-on-one visits, and I participated a little bit. But the way he talks to the student athlete about what his expectations are, how he's going to be disciplined, it's about character, it's about being fast and smart, all the things that he talked about, they get it. And they understand it, and they want to know, how do I get to where you were at the pinnacle of, being a 2-sport athlete, which there's very few out there. And then you get the parents there that watched him play as they were growing up.
Hold on, ain't that?
Wait a second, yeah, you're out of the building?
I walk, yeah, and it's like a grass part that I know people are sneaking in right there, because I would if I was a kid, in that right area right over there. But I walked the whole stadium. I went everywhere because I wanted to see. And every seat is a good seat. You get a good view, and just the regular sky from on this side, but then the skyline and the mountains are just beautiful. So I did that. Then I walked down the field, and I wanted to run. I can't run. I was like, Lord, I wish I could run. And those little things you take for granted. But I really was having a moment yesterday on the field, because that, I had a tremendous setback probably a year ago. But yesterday I was walking on the field, and I really wanted to run. And it hit me that I can't run. And I said, Lord, I wish I could run. And then someone was telling me to veer off, but my mind was saying, you gotta score. You gotta score. So I was walking down the field, and I made it to the end zone. Then I walked around and came on back up to that side of the stadium. But it's beautiful. I just wanted to see every seat in the house.
And we've seen your dance.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I tried.
Yeah, I tell the kids that we can only do that when we're up by 21.
There you go.
You gotta be up by 21.
Sir?
Benjamin.
I have a question.
Hold on, Benjamin.
For Coach Prime. I wanted to ask, what advice would you give to a 12-year-old right now?
Well, never talk back to your mama. And you respond to her, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And elders, yes, sir, no, sir. And you bring nothing home less than a B. Nothing home less than a B. And you never stop dreaming. Don't you ever stop dreaming, no matter what no one says. Okay?
Thank you.
That's the advice I would give you.
With the athletic director. I'm a with electric too. It's not that cool. It's probably not cool like that either. Maybe one more one. Sorry, I just want to get my beat real quick. Perfect. Thank you so much. It was nice meeting you guys.